Hello! If you're wondering why it looks like I was attacked by a perm and my face hit a craft store, it's because today we're going to be talking about the best decade of them all. The 80s. I just knocked off half... You know what? Okay. They're all going. So, Barbie. The quintessential toy doll. I personally do not own any Barbies for now. We'll see how the future goes. But everybody knows she's like the #1 doll. There is even a shade of pink named specifically after Barbie. That is how much of a chokehold she has on the market. But you do not get to be #1 without knocking the competition down a few pegs. Today we're going to be talking about the time that didn't quite work out the way Barbie wanted it to. So in the 80s, Barbie's makers, Mattel, caught wind that another competing toy company, Hasbro, planned to release a pop star themed line of dolls called Gem. So they decided to crush them by making Barbie and the Rockers.
We had that thing put together and we shipped earlier than they did. The whole world thought they copied us.
But while Barbie won the battle, they didn't exactly win the war. See, Gem's toy line never made it past the 80s, but she still retains brand recognition. She even got an insultingly awful live-action reboot movie that everybody hated. But if you ask somebody to name a specific Barbie, they'll probably say Totally Hair Barbie, Malibu Barbie, the weird, creepy, sacrificial Barbie heads whose hair you could style. Barbie and the Rockers? Not so much. And that probably has something to do with the fact that Gem managed to latch herself onto the brains of little girls everywhere with the archetypal consumerist propaganda strategy, cartoons. So Mattel decided to copy them again by making 2 specials of their own. Barbie and the Rockers, Out of This World, and Barbie and the Sensations, Rockin' Back to Earth. They were supposed to act as a pilot for a TV show, but unfortunately, they failed! Let's talk about why. So how does Barbie start her epic journey to become a star? By already being one? The very first thing we're treated to is a montage establishing that Barbie's band is #1 all over the world. In fact, Barbie has just been announced as the very first ambassador for world peace because that is how universally liked she is. And see, this right here is the problem. Barbie is this deified, almost mythological figure to Mattel. She is supposed to be a role model for girls everywhere. And that's great when you're making a doll for little girls, but not when you're making a TV show. Her fantasies are fun for kids to imagine and play out, but they're kind of boring to watch. Characters need to be challenged and able to grow, otherwise, what's even the point of watching? Gem totally understood this. There was a ton of conflict. Don't get me wrong, it was really, really stupid, absurd conflict. But it was conflict. So if this story is not about Barbie becoming a pop star, what is it about? The answer? Going into space. So Barbie announces they'll be doing the first ever concert in space, which apparently she hadn't even told her own band.
Outer space?
And then they go to space in a pink rocket ship, and then they do a concert in a pink flower satellite thing, and then that's the end of Barbie and the Rockers Out of This World. I told you, not a lot of conflict. So, we sent Barbie to the moon. And this is episode 1 of our hypothetical TV show, To the Moon. How do we top that? We send her back in time. So as Barbie and the Rockers are traveling back to Earth, they play their instruments because that's a safe thing you do on a spaceship. Fight me, NASA. Which causes them to travel back in time to the 50s. Instead of being swarmed by NASA and the FBI, who think they're alien communists or something, they instead meet a scientist and his daughter who swear they'll figure out how to get them back to their own time. So what did Barbie and her friends do while waiting to be sent back to a slightly less racist era? They get famous again. You are literally #1 all over the world in the 80s. Why Do you want to be famous again? Shouldn't you view this as a vacation? More importantly, what do you think is going to happen 30 years from now when the exact same band playing the exact same music reappears having not aged a day? Do you not think people are going to be asking questions? They don't even change the name. So the science guy figures out that they need to play their instruments when all the planets are in alignment to get sent back to their own time, which coincidentally just happens to be the night of their upcoming concert. So they play their set and then they disappear into the clock zone. So they return to the present, which has apparently not changed to reflect their new status as some creepy urban immortal myth. Band reappears unchanged after 30 years. That's creepy. Yeah, we're not even gonna touch how NASA should have confiscated their pink spaceship and used it to further space travel so that when they did finally return to the present, if they were even allowed to return, concerts by bands in space were more of a primetime TV event and less of a astounding world peace thing. Because let's be real, that's what would have happened. There's a reason we have so many stories about how it's a bad idea to give Hitler a cell phone. Oh, yeah, and that little girl they made friends with, yeah, she appears at their Welcome Home concert all grown up and with a kid of her own, which means she was minding her own business being an adult when suddenly this exact same band that she knew as a child reappeared, and she knew that she could not interact with them until they went to space and came back, or else that might up the time-space continuum. So Jem was basically a show about Hannah Montanas with really big hair. And Barbie and the Rockers was a show about going to space and time travel. Not being a pop star, going to space and doing a time travel. I think I know why this didn't become a TV show. Every episode would have to get increasingly more absurd until the finale was just Barbie versus Cthulhu. Or, you know, her band eventually got sick of her always being in the spotlight and just dumped her. The good news is, I think Barbie and Mattel ultimately learned from this experience. Barbie and the Rockers has languished in obscurity as a weird piece of toy trivia. But when Barbie finally did get her first proper movie, there was an actual story with actual conflict and character development. I mean, you can debate among yourselves if it's actually a good movie, but it definitely tried, and that's the point. Because Barbie as a toy and a role model needs to be inspirational, but Barbie as a character, she needs to be relatable.
Barbie's everybody's favorite for all time.
Yeah, so anyway, my hair is big, my face is pink, and we're done talking about Barbie. Goodbye. Should be fine. I mean, it's some really pretty clarinet playing, but I'm trying to film a video. Let's wrap this thing up. I can't take the clarinet anymore.